Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Today, I'm joined with dignitaries from startup ecosystem for the session called Viksit Bharat, Women in Entrepreneurship Ecosystem. To my right, I have Poini Bhatt ma'am. To my extreme right is the startup founder, Roli Gupta. To my left is Padma Devarajan ma'am. And then we have Dr. Ritu Jain Gaurav. Striya Sakal Janani Vidya, Dharmasya Karanam, Udyegena Samriddhasyu, Rashtrasya Bhavati Vardhanam, which means women are the universal nurturers. Knowledge is the foundation of righteousness. Through entrepreneurship, they thrive and contribute to the nation's progress. So, Poini Bhatt ma'am comes with over 2 decades of, into the startup ecosystem. She has been the CEO for one of the largest incubation centers in the country, which is SINE IIT Bombay. And currently on the panel of investor committee for Maharashtra, Innovation and Technological Development Fund. We have Roli Gupta, who is the founder of Babblebot AI. She has been a serial entrepreneur. She has spent a lot of time in US and has been working on her dreams. And currently with Babblebot AI, she is trying to transform the HR ecosystem. We have Padma Devarajan ma'am, who has been part of the ICT community. She's been Dean Research Innovation and has been taking care of the incubation over there as well. Currently, she's also the chairperson of NISP 2024 on the committee established by Ministry of Education. And then we have Dr. Ritu Jain Gaurav, who is the investor and the founder of U2U Systems. She's traveling all the way from Singapore and she's passionate about scaling women in AI. So directly jumping off to the question, I would put this question to Poini ma'am. Having seen the ecosystem evolve over a couple of decades, ma'am, what is the biggest shift you see in the ecosystem today?
See, we started at IIT Bombay Entrepreneurship Initiative 2 decades back. In fact, more than 2 decades back, yeah. And just imagine a scenario in technology space. You had only Google. We didn't have WhatsApp. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have YouTube. Yeah. That was the space, right? Entrepreneurship was not really popular in India. Right. First angel fund came in 2007. We started in late 90s. Yeah. So the ecosystem was completely, it was like a white space. Not much was filled in out there. And that was the initiative for IIT Bombay to start incubation center. Idea was that macro ecosystem is not very, evolved. So create a platform to support the startup coming out of the institute. So that was the basic idea in those days. So that was the time the only stakeholder was government.
Right.
They actually supported some of the academic institutions to set up the incubator center. And they were also the first one to have started with incubation fund, early stage seed fund, what we call it now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Since then, and now you are a third largest startup nation.
Yes.
Yeah. And every piece in the ecosystem, like you call it investor, you call it corporate, you call it experts, mentors, academia, entrepreneur themselves, which was really risk-averse culture that we have, society at large, everything has changed.
Right.
Yeah, and it has basically now converged to become a third largest startup nation. Yeah, so that's the change. That's how we have evolved.
That's a big shift which has happened in the ecosystem. Yes. Going to Roli Gupta, ma'am, you have spent considerable time in US. You have done a startup over there, if I'm not wrong. You have done a startup previously. to this BabbleBot AI?
It was in India only though.
It was in India?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And you have spent considerable time in the US. So how do you see these two startup ecosystems? Because, when we look at the Silicon Valley, there are different things, they do things differently. And also, tell us about your journey as a startup founder, about BabbleBot AI.
I think let's focus on the differences between US and India. I think it's a good forum to sort of share with other folks, like maybe as a person who's operated in both the places, like what the differences are. I do think, just tailing off what Poini was saying, is that the ecosystem is very, very new here. And US, I was particularly in the Bay Area, which is like where a lot of startups, the whole entrepreneurship in some sense, the new technology entrepreneurship, I would say, took off there. So they are like, I would say 40, 50 years ahead of us in terms of like the number of, in terms of how they look at opportunities. I think India has a lot to learn in terms of risk, in terms of sort of seeing a vision that may not be clear today. I think one of the key differences that I see between the two ecosystems are that, of course, in US has deep pockets for everything, so it's easier in some sense for funding for everything. But in India, I do think people want to see the whole journey of a startup before they commit, especially investors. That's really hard to do because especially with AI, and now we are in an AI space. It's really hard to even imagine like what it was 2 years ago, and to sort of have like 10-year projections of where the world's going to go. It's impossible. It's impossible for anybody. So I do think that appetite is lacking. But I think over a couple of decades, I think it is going to it should develop when more and more entrepreneurs come back into the ecosystem and are sort of bringing that risk appetite into funding the next set of entrepreneurs. That's what happened in the Silicon Valley as well. So I think we have not gone through those cycles enough, have the same kind of risk.
The maturity, yes.
So thankfully it's changing, but it's going to take time.
Okay.
So that's sort of what I feel as like a player in the arena. In terms of my own entrepreneurial experience, I absolutely love it. It's been 10 years trying to have my own ideas, build a team around it, and trying to build something big. What I'm doing at BabbleBot.ai is my second attempt. The first one was in actually sustainability and clean tech and solar energy space. So very different things, but I love taking ideas that seem to be just at the point of commercialization. So when I started the first company, it's called Urjan. At that time, the National Solar Mission had just come out in India. So it was very new. The whole solar journey of the country was very new. And it was exciting to sort of see that how do you take something which, if you can scale, is just socially good itself. You don't have to have two different agendas. It's the same single agenda that can solve both it has like an impact as well as like a scalable thing. So that worked. That was the first idea. In AI, we did start before AI became as hot as it is right now. I feel like the world moves faster than actually it does. So I do take these puns a little bit earlier than normal, but that's what I love.
Thank you, Roli ma'am, for taking us through your entrepreneurial journey in a nutshell and also briefing us about the differences between the two ecosystems largely. Coming to Padma Devarajan ma'am, she has been a very pivotal role, multiple hats, from research, publications to driving innovation in one of the most prominent institutions in the country, ICT. Then also becoming the chairperson for NISP, and I think NISP is a big game changer for the nation, National Innovation Startup Policy. I would like you to share your thought process on this. What is NISP for you? What you think about the policy itself, and what has been your journey?
I think I will start with the NISP, which is the National Innovation and Startup Policy. I think it has been a game changer for thousands of institutes across the country, because there is a lot of capability in the academia, which NISP is now slowly tapping. Academia has always had a set of academicians and young minds that were working towards research that could be commercialized. But these ambitions could never be nurtured because of government policies, which did not allow academicians to get involved in their own companies, did not allow students any leeway other than academic attending lectures and attending to whatever is put down by the curriculum.
Right.
The NISP has now opened up this, and I think the vision of the government needs to be really applauded, because this way they're going to tap a whole lot of minds that could actually contribute and think of contributing to the GDP and to Viksit Bharat right from their student days. And once this comes in as a mindset at that age, which is a formative age, I'm sure the entrepreneurial ecosystem is going to change in the next maybe 5 to 10 years. One was going to see a revolution where we see a lot of probably entrepreneurs and possibly a good number of unicorns coming out in 10 years from academia. So that is the role NISP is playing across institutions. Coming to my own journey, I am basically a researcher. Over 35 years I've been in research. But there's been one thing that I've always tried to follow in my research. While on one hand, yes, typical academic research, but on the other hand, there's always been this desire that at least part of what is done in my lab has to reach society. So that is something that started way back in the 80s.
Okay.
Even before this concept of entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurial ecosystem, etc., has come in. And since then, I have been trying to see if technologies could be developed for licensing. And this mindset I have been creating in a limited way through my own research group and through the undergraduates who come as interns in my research lab. It's been very, very limited. But suddenly, after the innovation councils were announced by the Ministry of Education and AICTE, things have changed totally across the academic institutions. So when the innovation councils were launched, I was fortunate to be asked to take over as the president of the innovation council. So I could take this out of my lab across the institute from 2019.
Amazing.
And this has become a game changer for the institute. The concept that ideas, research ideas, could be developed in a way where you visualize it going out into the commercial arena is something that is being pitched into the student mind now by a lot of faculty. Many faculty have been motivated by the NISP and by the Innovation Council that has come in. This helps because faculty ultimately play a great role in triggering young minds. But what is important is through the Innovation Council, which has so many activities. The MOE specifies certain activities, but in addition, there are a lot of self-driven activities by the Institute, where they are exposed to so much, particularly in Institute of Chemical Technology, where I come from. Our alumni base is so huge and so varied. We're able to get in the best and expose them to much more that, smaller institutes could give. Because of that, I can see a sea change in the students. We have very aggressive students and many students saying today, we want to be entrepreneurs. In fact, one such student was there in your earlier podcast.
Yes, ma'am.
And she's just completed B.Pharm and joined for Masters. And today, our incubation center, which is just 2 years old, has 20 incubators. What I'd like to say is the trigger has begun and it's only escalating.
Next, I would like to go to Dr. Ritu Jain Gaurav ma'am. She has been an investor, a couple of decades of experience, an IIT Roorkee graduate who shifted to Singapore now, starting U2U systems, also having a social enterprise and skilling women. And you are passionate about technology and AI. So can you brief us about your journey and what is your mission about?
So I have been in technology for 30 years. I started my journey from Motorola India Electronics Limited in 1995. That was the first time India had opened up, and Motorola was the first MNC to open a center in Bangalore. And they were hiring the people, the students or people from India, and their only plan was to hire postgraduates. from IITs because they were looking at R&D. And I had a clean walk in, means no interview. Just somebody called me, you are in Bangalore, would you like to join Motorola India? And I walked in and I had a clear walk-in and I worked on, they started with research. They gave me the first browser, which was the Netscape. They said that this is your project you have to do, and this browser will open the door for you. That time it was not open, so much data was not available. Only the research papers and all we could take from there. So that was how my journey started. And then I worked with Motorola Lucent Technologies, Alcatel Lucent Technologies. And then one fine day, my husband decided to move to Singapore. After 15 years of my career in Bangalore, mostly in the IT space, including startups. One of the startups, Silanco, got acquired by Broadsoft, then got acquired by Cisco. So I was working as an engineering manager for element management product which they were developing. So product development. So I moved with my two small kids into Singapore. It was an eye-opener. I moved as an expat wife, trailing wife, and not planning to work because everything was paid for him. So it was like a dream come true. I can just relax with my children. 2 weeks later, my husband got a letter from Ministry of Manpower saying that your wife is so educated, why she is not working? Now imagine Singapore, the cultural difference between the policy makers at Singapore and the policy makers in India. But being a small country, they know everybody. The per capita income is important. You know, it is only 50 lakh people and per capita income is $900,000. So Singapore is investor-friendly nation right now. So I walked into the nearest company, which was Alcatel Lucent. My ex-boss called the boss here, and there was my manager here. He just looked at me. He said, "Okay, you join from Monday." So I joined Alcatel Lucent in Singapore and worked with them for their clients, Intel and others, for almost 4 to 5 years. When one day Nokia decided to buy Alcatel Lucent in 2014, and they asked, Alcatel Lucent gave us a package, which is also a very beautiful package, and they said that if you would want to move to Australia or back to India. But I chose, because my children had now accustomed to Singapore culture, and it's a happy place to be. So I chose not to take any of those and stay behind. And that's when I decided to consult. The first thing when I started to consult, came to my mind was to approach the nearest training centers, and this is NTUC training centers, now it is called something else. So this has moved, NTUC learning hubs. So they asked me to start training on Android and some of the technologies which I was very good at. I am a tech person. So when they wanted to pay me, they said, we can't pay an individual. We have to have a company. So both of us, all the family was sitting together. My son's name is Udbhav, my daughter's name is Urja. Both of them starts with U. And it's just on a dining table, the name U2U came. So no plans, just we registered U2U systems and we started the journey of entrepreneurship. So it started with consulting, then moved into product development, then moved into investments, which we are doing now. U2U and me, we represent the industry. That means all my 30 years I've been with the industry. Now when I look at academics, see, we never understood any policies in Singapore. Of course, we were working with the policies, but we saw that in Singapore, the industry does two ways of interaction with the academics.
Academia, yeah.
One is we have some projects, we give it to the
Industry.
academics,
Okay, yeah.
university professors, who get it done by their by the PhDs, by the interns,
Right.
and we pay the university.
Yeah.
The other way it works in Singapore is that the researchers in the university, they develop a prototype and they come to us and we do a commercialization with them, in the sense that we do a joint venture.
Okay.
We maybe start a new company or give a percentage of a new company, and the professor in the university comes on board, who has the patent,
Right.
and then we launch the product in the market through, say, UTU systems.
So is
or
it
through
spin
another
out or
company.
spin off?
Yeah, or it can be a spin-off, or it can be part of UTU systems if we think it is aligning with our goals.
Okay.
2015 to 2025, 10 years, we have been working very closely with the universities.
So now the question arises that students and parents, or they come to us with question like, sir, we don't get time, or now we have already, like in VJT, I know one of the startup, which is on a growth stage. So what is your thought process that in next 5 years or 10 years down the line, will incubation play a parallel role to academia, where students will come, create their startups and move out with some credits, or they will have to go through the traditional processes and give those exams and write papers, and how do you think it's going to landscape? Because at ministry, we are thinking about the universities of the future.
So you are talking about incubator, and before I come to your question, in fact, IIT Bombay was the first institute who had formalized faculty participation in startup, either as a co-founder or as a technology advisor, or as a minority, by way of tech transfer and all those things, minority, participant in the organization. In olden day, it was not explicitly written, but the flip side was that it was not even banned, right? So how did we arrive at a solution was that being in government job, you cannot have earning from two organizations. Invest in listed stock, you can also participate in startup. So you don't take any compensation, but you hold stock by virtue of your participation in this thing. So we were the first to have, and our policy got replicated across many institutions. Okay, so that is one thing. Coming back to this thing, I think incubators started in a time where your ecosystem was not really evolved.
Right.
And look at the peculiar case of incubator and government. As the ecosystem is getting evolved, government is not stepping back, it is pushing more, right? So the number, and also the number of incubators are also basically getting larger and larger here. So now entrepreneurs basically, attention could be divided if there is an investor is investing in a startup, entrepreneur has a very lesser incentive to go to the incubator, because you have an incubation cost, and then there is an ownership party, partaking and all those stuff, and then you have resources to get off the ground, right? I think incubators have to basically bring them up to the speed to be able to support that startup. Interestingly, I think in MOE also you are running this model, that startup-based MBA and all those stuff, right? And I think there are one or two institutions like Professor Ramgopal Rao, who is now VC of BITS Goa. He has experimented a new initiative startup-based PhD or whatever it is.
IIT Delhi has done that.
Even IIT Delhi, when he was in IIT Delhi, he introduced the concept and all those things. I think lots of new model basically has to evolve, and out there incubator can be a really good partner to basically implement this kind of models.
Roli ma'am, would you like to highlight the role of incubation center in your journey, and what if there are any challenges which you face as a woman startup founder?
Our founding team in general had a strong we all graduated from IIT Bombay, various paths in the last few decades, right? So it was already like we had a very strong umbilical cord with IIT Bombay. So since this was my second startup and it was something that was fairly technical, it kind of just made sense to sort of be as close to technology and ideas as possible. For us, I think at BabbleBots, it's been a very, very good experience to be associated with Sign. And I'll specifically say a couple of things that have really worked out. Honestly, I think in Mumbai, real estate cost actually is a very significant thing. We have a really good office. We have a place to expand as we need. Now the Sign building is just really good. So it allows us to upskill the team without feeling like, you're incurring a lot of infrastructure expenses. I think that all of us want to minimize. But what has happened is because this was not such a big cost item, we all ended up being like an in-person team. So we're not a remote team. We all work from the office. Everybody in BabbleBots loves to come to office because it's in the campus and you can go outside. It's easy to go get a drink, walk around, it's just like really nice to be working out of the campus. So that I think that vibe is really important.
Yeah.
The third thing that worked out very well for us was the access to talent. So when we needed interns for different parts, because we are an AI product, so at various points we've needed people for annotation and just to make sure that the system's running well. So we got very good access to talent, because even if you had a project that was only like, let's say 10 hours a week, there was always some students that were available to sort of and happily would take that on. So I think through the journey of BabbleBots, we probably had 10-15 interns go in and out, and we're still a fairly small team. The total number of interns is bigger than the team size right now that have gone through this. So I think that has been very good. The last thing I would say is that Sign does have a good access to investors as well. So we do get introductions, and it's a softer introduction, I would say, than it could be otherwise. I think we can do more. I think in terms of maybe having a Sign fund and putting a little bit more skin in the game in terms of incubating, and maybe it could be milestone based. I'm not getting into the technicality, but I think there can be a little bit more investment support as well. But I mean, so far it's been to connect and be part of that ecosystem. I do highly recommend that if startups are considering to be incubated with a larger infrastructure. IIT Bombay is at the top, but I mean a lot of other incubators are also, I'm sure they provide a good amount of support, and it's totally worth whatever that equity trade and other things are in the beginning. I think it's worth it.
The biggest advantage of incubator is that there are 30-40 startups working together.
Yeah.
See, entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey, right? Yeah. As a founder, many cases you become your own sounding board, and that doesn't work. So now when you are with 30-40 entrepreneurs, you suddenly realize the same problem that I have, the other person also has it, right? And then suddenly it diffuses the pressure, and then the confidence crisis that entrepreneurs have, that get diffused. Right. That is one thing. And then there is a lots of experiential learning, cross leveraging and all those things. Particularly your point to skin in the game, really actually we do invest. So Sign used to invest in the company.
Yeah, there was something. Yeah.
But then in your case there is an ownership issue. We can do it only in Indian companies.
Oh, that is the. Oh,
so that is the thing. Right. But Sign is also on its way of basically setting up its own firm.
Yeah.
And that would be even
larger.
Very
nice. Yeah.
That's great to know about the support which is being provided by Sign. I think it's phenomenal to see that an incubation center which plays such a pivotal role, and we call it like Powai Valley, right? We are having our own set of great startups emerging from there. Coming to Padma ma'am, you have been in multiple hats, what we discussed earlier. And I have visited, ICITE NICE. It's from the incubation perspective. What more can we do as an academic incubation center? I mean, do you think there could be some
industry connect, to push more innovation or co-patenting? What ideas you have?
See, as an incubation center, the first ground rule is to establish, create a good foundation, create a trust. Once we create that trust, then we will have industry coming to us. So we have now created that trust and we are in the next phase. But before going to the next phase, the challenge I faced in the initial phase is just because of the ICT name, we had a lot of venture capitalists coming to us. But my startups were too early on to have venture capital, So that became a challenge. I had to tell them, please wait, please wait. So what we have been focusing on in the first 3 years is to build up the ecosystem and increase the number of startups within. So like I told you, within a span of 2 years, we have gone up to 20. So now we have a number that we could talk to venture centers, venture capitalists.
Venture capitalists, yeah.
So that is the first thing. The next is we're also as an institute trying to create our own corpus so that in the early stage we are able to fund them. So we are looking for CSR grants.
Endowment funds.
Yeah. So we already have a company and we've just managed to get those, get through the regulatory requirements. So we would go all out for CSR funds and we are looking forward to our alum support in a big way. So that is the next step that we're also looking at in terms of growth. So this is the way we plan to go stepwise. So right now, instead of venture capitalists, we have also already started tapping angel investors because our startups have started coming to us and saying, we want 10 lakhs, we want 25 lakhs, we want 50. Nobody is going beyond 50 at this point. So then we feel angel investors would be ideal compared to venture capitalists. And as they grow, we're also already talking to venture capitalists and trying to create that base. So while our startups are moving up the ladder, we are trying to go 1 or 2 steps further and keep the setup and the organization ready for them. Now, I would just like to go back to one question that you asked, Poini, about how the ISP and education is coming together.
Incubation
Incubation and education. Now, very important is the national education policy that has come in 2020, and that is being implemented now over 2 years. So that gives a lot of flexibility. Now, under that, they have created what they call as an honors degree. And in that honors degree, from the 5th semester, that's the second year, at the end of second year, the last 2 years, third and fourth year of any graduation course, students can take up a research project. So they call that honors degree in research. So now what we are planning, this is my plan, I'm here to propose it to my committee. I've been thinking about it and just jotted it down, and since I've come here even before the committee meeting, I'm just going to talk about it because it's something very progressive and positive. So we are planning to, in the NISP, suggest that this component that NEP is offering as research may also be offered as innovation. So when it's a 2-year program for innovation, and we have students who are in the first year and second year who are now telling us they want to become entrepreneurs, so there could be no better way than to build it into their career, into their curriculum. So 2 years they would get into this. So in those 2 years, they would be given credits and they would be given an honors, hopefully in innovation. And along with that, in the 2 years, they'd be given time for their venture. And already the NISP allows students to take a break of up to a year.
Right.
And they can come back without it showing on their academic record. So that's already there. And one team had approached me. We had already decided we would put in the papers and try and get it done. But for some reason, they got cold feet. Maybe family reasons or maybe whatever reason. So they have gone back into the 4th year full. They said, let's complete and then we will take it forward. But they are going aggressive. So this is how we plan to merge NISP with NEP because that's very important to make innovation part of the academia.
Absolutely.
So we are going to try that.
So thank you, ma'am, for sharing that. I'll go to, Ritu, ma'am. Ma'am, we had previously discussed about, the cultural change, and which you also wanted to highlight. How you see academia in India shaping up now after, being part of IIT Roorkee way back, I think 20-25 years back. What cultural shift and what are the processes or levels, how it could be, created? where we can drive more innovators like you or like Roli ma'am who take up entrepreneurship and innovation as their career. Okay.
So industry, when they come into a college for investments, they are looking for a minimum viable product which they see potential and they want to invest in that as an investor or invest in that as go-to-market strategy.
Right.
So that's what. About the culture, it's all about culture. So culture is very, very important. It's important, but it takes many, many years to change.
Right.
Change takes so much of time. So culture is of lifelong learning, culture of having multiple jobs at one time or multiple jobs in a lifetime in every different domains is still not there in our society. Once we join a job, we think it is coming because the new generation is changing everything. Culturally we want to go to one government job and stay for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, sometimes retire. That's the culture we have been coming from. But looking forward, and it is already coming because the new generation is so
Enthusiastic.
ahead because of the global information which is available to them,
Right.
that they are questioning the norms.
Correct.
Right, they are questioning the norms, and so the culture has to start from not only from the institute but from the family and from the society, and from society makes the country. So the culturally we have to start thinking differently.
Coming to that point, taking a note from there, do we need to follow the proven models globally, or do we create our own things? Like, China has 17 lakh patents. When you talk about GenAI, the top 10 companies are Chinese, and 25,000 patents have been filed. Here we are just discussing about GenAI, and I don't know how many companies have filed patent. I don't have that data. So what is your thought process? Should the faculties or academicians go behind filing patents and creating IPs, or looking at a meaningful methods where we can commercialize those and execute it?
So patent is the first step of the numbers. Tell us that there are innovators behind. There is a new thinking behind. So if a number is higher in China, it just tells us that there is a new thinking behind. There is something which they are looking at developing in future as a product. So patent numbers do give you some data. Patents is, I would say that we should look at a holistic approach rather than only looking at the numbers.
Patent is typically in context with innovation, right? You do require basically innovation. So fundamental, there are two things. Unless you have fundamental technology, science happening, applied will not go there. So you require both. Patents are actually indicative of what is the innovation behind particular technology or science. Having said that, ideally, one has to look at the end application now. Yeah. Now it's not their model versus your model. You require something, basically technology, product, solution, services coming out which basically impacts society.
Right.
Yeah. And that is basically, now you say what is happening global. I think depending on basically what kind of space you are in, you can look at the India problem. You can, if you are planning global company, you have to be in sync with the global problem.
Correct.
India problem is so massive, market is so massive. So even if you look at India problem, it's going to go bigger and bigger. Yeah. So I think you require basically both, but fundamentally it's innovation that we need. You don't require high level, surface level, basically technology. That's not going to take us too far.
I also feel like so we are going through a patent. So we have filed a patent pretty much I think in 2022, just after we started, and there were some new ideas that were still not being covered by generative AI, whatever we were at that time. but that process is too slow. I mean, for generative AI, it doesn't matter. Like if you had a good idea 2 years ago, I think the models have evolved so quickly that even if we get that patent, it's really of no use. I mean, it's so I think some of these processes need to evolve, right? I mean, I think the patent processes have somehow gotten stuck in this the mode of like early industrial time. That okay, I'm going to have a drawing and I'm going to say that this is unique and this is and then it's taking like 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, the world changes in that amount of time. The world is changing. So I think patent is good to sort of write on the resume that you have something, you can do it in parallel. I don't think you should do it in sequence. It makes no sense because by the time you actually get approved or whatever, somebody else is probably running with that idea and they didn't care about because again, to Koili's point, the markets are so big that if you have the right innovation, you can build a fairly good company without needing to say that, oh, you are the only special one who's doing it, right? So I think in terms of the speed, it actually slows you down if you focus too much on patent.
Sure.
Moving to the next segment, I wanted to touch upon the importance of failures. I think each one of us get stuck with this notion. How you see as a startup founder, you have seen so many startups who might have started during your journey, like 22 decades is a big number, and now they are closed up and winded up. Ma'am, you must have interacted with so many people, students, right? So what is your notion? What is the role of failure, and as a society, how we look up to it? Is it changing, or it's still we are stuck with the notion that okay, we don't want to?
We must get used to culture of failures. I got fired from my jobs 2 times, and it was like the problem is with me. The problem is not with me. The problem is with the company culture. That we have to accept and say, okay, you were not the right fit. I mean, what? I left or they fired me. It's the same thing, right? It didn't fit. Something was misfit.
We have pre-incubations now also, right? Where some of the colleges and universities are providing funds, but still there are no takers. So how do we develop this culture of failure amongst the ecosystem? Are there some?
I think, Umesh, you require too many cases here. So I know, the faculty member, when we started as an incubator, again, SIGN was the first to have started with equity as a economic model of incubator.
Correct.
We were the first.
Yeah.
And faculty member that time who was in charge of incubation, he's very fond of telling this story. So I would attribute this story to him. Why this equity started? Yeah, it was in early 2000, late 90s. Students wanted to start a venture. Their parents came to that faculty member, Professor Phatak. Yeah, he went to the professor here and he said that we don't want our son to start a venture because if he fails, he will have some debt and no one will marry my son. This was in 2000, right? Yeah. And that's why, so Professor Phatak said, now I have to deal with a marriage problem.
Is it right now?
Yeah.
Can't be right now.
Yeah.
Was it
no,
right?
Whether it is right, but it's a failure that was his carrying, right? It was in his crown. So and that's how we started with that we will not take commercial charges for, even if it is highly subsidized for initial year, but all the subsidy that we give, you give us equity. Right. And equity is what? It's a participative, right? Risk taking. You fail, we fail. You make money, we make money. Right? So that was the origin of our basic story behind our equity model. Yeah. Since then and now, neither students are worried. ठीक है, fail होते हैं, दूसरा कर लेंगे, job मिल जाएगा. Parents don't have. So society also has changed. So culturally, we have really evolved. I'm sure. I'm not telling that every parent wants it. I'm sure there are parents who don't want it. But I think they have seen the story that they have failed and they have moved on. Yeah, they have failed and they have moved on. So I think more and more such numbers basically will create a shift.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily.
I can just come in today. I think it's become a fashion statement for entrepreneurs to come out and say, I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is my third. I failed in two, but now my third is successful. So what happens is, even though it's being used as a fashion statement, it's very motivating for people who want to come into entrepreneurship, which says, doesn't matter if you fail, but don't give up. Be like.
So I can also proudly say I am also a startup failure. In that sense, I did my first startup in the edtech.
No, I think
And to answer to that,
so there's no stigma attached.
yes, there is no stigma.
Yes.
And in fact,
And then-
to answer to Professor, when I failed, I got married the very next year. My wife accepted me. So I'm really thankful that my in-laws accepted me. That here is a guy startup failure, and they come from humble background. They don't even know what's a startup. Right?
No, it's no longer stigma. That's the reason entrepreneurs are okay. It didn't work out.
Right. So coming to the next question, this is related to MOE multiverse. So Ministry of Education does a lot of things, and a lot of things probably don't get even highlighted. Like Smart India Hackathon, we recently completed. We had 3 lakh internal teams. Then we have 55 teams going for the next round, and then 1,300 teams coming for grand finale. We do innovation design entrepreneurship bootcamp. We do school innovation councils to reach out to catch them in concept. We have institution innovation councils, 14,275 currently, like the entrepreneurship cells. Apart from that, we have the ambassador program, innovation ambassador. We have NISP policy in place. We have AICTE startup policy in place, right? So a lot of things have been done. There are a lot of parallels to it. Like, Atal Innovation Mission is also doing something. IIT Bombay has an e-cell. They help in creating entrepreneurship. So how do you think, there could be a synergy to bring all these things, work and sync together? In fact, also there are startup missions, the state startup missions, which are doing something at their own pace, right? So in Maharashtra, we have Maharashtra State Innovation Society. In fact, I was surprised to see NISP mandates that we allow the faculties to do startup, but there is no policy document from government of Maharashtra at policy level that the faculties can do startup. And many faculties come to me and say, Umesh, NISP says I can do, but government of Maharashtra is stopping me. What should I do? I'm in Dalai.
I don't think government of Maharashtra is stopping them, just that there is no clarity. So I think I would say when there are grey area, if you are not breaching the law, just get it.
Get it, yeah.
That
That
is why,
was,
like,
yeah, that's what is a go-getting, yes. Yes. So that's a message to all
Ask
the,
for forgiveness.
that's a message to
Always.
all the
Yeah,
ISCs
that
in
is
the
the
region.
thing,
If you are watching this, please go ahead and get started with
And
your.
if you look at it, who are the successful people? Those who have disrupted, right? System and all those stuff. So.
Right. So coming to the next question, I think in the ecosystem it's really important what kind of mentor you get. And I always feel the role of mentor plays a very pivotal role
in your success or failure. Starting with you, Roliji, how has been your experience about mentorship?
Yeah.
And if you could attribute 1 or 2 examples where it really helped you.
In the first half of my entrepreneurial journey, I don't think I actually had a mentor, and I think that was quite, it was not good. I think it was a disadvantage that I see now that could have been like sort of bridged if I had the right kind of mentoring. So I would think that like a very, like a super senior from IIT Bombay, Rakesh Mathur, is who I would think is like my entrepreneurship mentor. The main thing I think that I kind of get from him pretty much is, first of all, he's seen how startups work for like 30 years or even more. I don't know how many, but a lot. So pretty much every problem that I'm coming across, he's seen it in some version of that. So in some sense, it normalizes your own experience, and then it gives you the confidence to sort of operate in a way that, hey, you are not the only one who's going through it. Right? So I think that's really important in terms of just like getting grounded about, if you have to take difficult decisions or like, any place you're stuck and you don't know how to unstuck yourself. So I think that has helped to have somebody from who's been an entrepreneur for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing definitely I get from him is that it's always about thinking bigger. Like it's almost like, why not yesterday? Why not bigger? Like, and I just want to bring this to the point of the women entrepreneurship also a little bit. I do think a lot of women entrepreneurs are less aggressive, less ambitious than, not aggressive. It has different connotations, but just less ambitious, right? So they would just be a little bit more cautious about hey, year one we will do this, year two I'll do this, or whatever. They're just, I think, negotiating in their head a lot. And I have the same problem. So I'm not like really like giving any knowledge that, I mean, knowing that also, it's sometimes I find it difficult to just be like, blatantly just sort of say, ha, ye jaake kar denge. And I think a lot of times, I do think personally that actually limits the amount of sort of venture risky capital that you can bring, because you do need to exude this outlier confidence in whatever you are doing. So I think having a right mentor actually helps bridge that a little bit. I think that's a journey that as an entrepreneur you have to take more yourself. But at least if somebody keeps questioning you and pulling you that, hey, you know what, we can do more. Why are we not thinking this? Why are we not? I think that's really important.
We get lot of advice. Everybody will give you advice. You tell I'm doing this and there will be 20,000 advices or your way. But not one single advice or would say, okay, I'll hold your hand. And I have done that before and I will hold your hand in terms of resources. Okay, so that is it's really missing. And we need to change that as provide that right, like the way how it is happening right now, I can see is a number of startups are together. So they are in the same journey. So they are mentoring each other. So mentor may not be somebody who has walked the path, but mentor may be somebody just slightly ahead or going together.
Right.
So mentor is very important, not only as a career, not only in the startups, but also like mentors.
Yeah.
Because you may take a few decisions which may be not right because you didn't see that aspect of thing. Because you were in a place you could see only one aspect.
Correct.
You were not able to see there were multiple
Different
aspects
perspectives. Yeah.
which can hit that decision, the
Correct.
choice which you are making.
Correct.
So if you're not getting a right mentor, if somebody is better to go through few different people
Right.
and hear them out and then choose what's right for you at that time.
Formally, we got into this incubation, innovation and startup, I would say in 2021, Jan. But like I told you, right, as a research supervisor, I have always been telling my students, we should do something different. I always tell them, something different could be 1%, could be 5%, could be 50%. But that difference is what is going to give you that sense of achievement. So I'm very happy to say that now I have 3 of my own students who have become founders.
Amazing.
Then as my role formally when I took up the Innovation Council and then the Incubation Centre, etc., I think I've had students who come to me and say, I want to have a startup, I don't have an idea. Where do I begin? So there also I have been able to give them some pointers on how to look at. There have been other students who came with something very elementary. So when it was very elementary, particularly 2 of them, we said, okay, you're not ready for a startup now, but you're interested in taking this forward. Get into Smart India Hackathon.
Right.
And both of them, they were in 2 different centers, was SIH, and they both won the first prize there.
Amazing.
When they came back, then we started mentoring them and saying, look, you've done something, do you want to take it further? One of them was very clear, so then we helped them set up the company. We first pre-incubated them, gave them some funding. Then we said, look, it's going well, so now you set up your company. So even that we helped them, guided them through, helped them draft the patent, because in my team, in the incubation setup with other faculty, both of them are patent agents. So they knew how to draft patents, etc.
Right.
So we did all that in-house for them. Today, both of them have incubated. They have their own private limited companies and they've also got funding.
Okay.
One has got 25 lakhs from the Rabi grant, it's agricultural.
Yes.
And the other has got maybe less, but up to 10 to 12 lakhs funding. So we also support them for funding. So this has been a very nice journey. And in fact, even other students who've been coming have been, motivated that if they have that desire to have a startup, I would also talk to them about becoming employers as a mindset, change that, and kind of present the bright picture. Okay.
Absolutely.
And not hide the sad picture. But even if you move downward, doesn't matter, you can still come back.
Yeah.
So with that kind of thing, I think we have quite a few student startups at ICT today. So that I think is a very satisfying feeling, that mentoring can work. And I think the first thing I did is mentoring example, where I was the first faculty to set up the startup under NISP, because while motivating my students in research, I also got self-motivated.
That's
So
an interesting
that's
insight.
something that happened,
Yeah.
So in that, let me talk about my one mentor, who's my own husband.
Okay.
So he's now probably in his third entrepreneurship. The first one and second failed. So I have walked that journey with him, and today we are flying in his third entrepreneurship. And that's probably that took me here, because the minute he realized and he would hear me talking about translating technologies, he said, "You're only licensing. Why are you licensing? Why don't you start something?" And that's where I have put my foot into this journey.
That's a great insight to all the viewers. Like, we all talk about, converting your ideas and patents into technology. Here we have an example sitting right in front of us. In fact, like Roliji, Rathod ma'am, Koini ma'am, all have been immensely contributing to the ecosystem in their own way. So I'm proud of Maharashtra because I'm representing that region, though I'm proud of my country, obviously. What we do and how we have been doing it. But Maharashtra hosts 50% more women founders, which is the largest number in the across India. And as per the Bain and Company, there's 15.7 million women-run enterprises in India are contributing 22% of overall entrepreneurial ecosystem. So how do we, we are coming to the last segment of this session, and this question is open to all of you. How do we increase women participation in startup ecosystem, taking up entrepreneurship? Because the journey of men is different than a woman. A woman has to bear a child, right? A lot of things have to be done from their part. So their journey is obviously different biologically, right? And which also impacts their growth. They have their aspiration. How do we deal with that? I think if anyone could give some insights, that would be great.
So, see, you look at about entrepreneurship, larger space.
Yeah.
Like, we are talking about women, but 20 years back, there were no men entrepreneurs. So, right? What work was basically role models. Yeah. I think more and more role models like Oli, Ritu, and like many, we already have it, right?
Yes.
So that will accelerate the pace. But you give some statistic here, Umesh. I'll give you another statistic, and that's where it makes compulsive case for many women coming from entrepreneurship. So there are stats that wherever women have led an organization, be it corporate or corporate is lesser, there's lesser elasticity out there, but women as an entrepreneurial leader, number of women employing in this organization is 2.5 times more than this labor.
Okay.
Yeah. So imagine, and I could see myself inside. Yeah. Rolly is actually witness to that. More than half of our team were women. And how it changes this data, even the surrounding or impacts that it makes in that limited ecosystem.
Right.
One is that women are definitely more empathetic. Yeah. So the way we deal with startup are very different than male. And I'm not making any value judgment, but I have seen based on my limited experience, the way my male colleague would look at it and the way I would look at it is very different, and we also have a high tolerance level, I would have, in some manner. Another thing is that, when I saw this, basically, women are coming to this, and you talk about, child and all those things. Women want to come back to work within 3 months, 6 months. Where is the support system? In sign, new building, the first thing I said was that we need to have a child room. Then we call it no crash. Crash has lots of regulatory aspect. You come with your caretaker, your baby's caretaker. We give you a space, or you come with child who is in school and all those things. There would be a space and basic furniture and all those things. He or she can do homework or whatever. Your caretaker can keep the child maybe basically take care of baby in that home, mother can always go. And that is not only open for, mothers, even fathers can bring the children. Now, I don't think any male, or maybe I very rarely a male would think in this way.
I think in the cities, 2-tier, 3-tier, and even the tier 1 cities, like Poini said, giving woman the facility to handle her kids.
Right.
Because that's the age when the woman has the maximum energy and the enthusiasm. So that is when it should be done. In fact, I would like to cite the example of one of my own students. She completed PhD 3 years ago. She's having a lot of family issues, but today she has founded her own company. So I think that's a real brilliant thing. But somehow she has the grit to tell her family that I will do everything, but I will do what I want also. So I think that grit, if women are able to get by looking at role models, she could be one of the best role models. In fact, I've been presenting her to others now.
Amazing.
So I think role model, as Poini said, is one of the best ways, and to create that basic facility that women need, to nurture the family.
Right.
Even with the UN Women, there is a push from the top MNCs, corporations to hire women.
Right.
And why is that? Because in the corporate top leadership, when they are taking decision making, they found they were all men. And hence the new aspect which a woman could have given is not there.
Correct.
So they are not seeing the picture, full picture, they are seeing half picture.
Half picture.
And when they are seeing half picture, the decision making is biased and many times it leads to failures.
Correct.
And many of these corporations have seen that. When they want to let go of, they want to reduce the size, when they wanted to let go in the past, the first list would be formed of all the women.
Right.
Who will be first asked to go, and the second list will carry the men.
Sad.
So it had happened in last 10 years. So slowly in the last 10 years, we saw that the corporations, the women are disappearing. They are not there, and they are there in the starting phase, and slowly at the family and with the pressure and with the leadership choices, they are let go. And at that time, if there are enterprising women like me, who doesn't have any advisor to pull back, they just go and take the pie. How do we bring more women is, as ma'am pointed out, is of course the role models. And role models are there, but they're not speaking up. Role models are not coming out.
Right.
They're not standing on the platform saying, this is my journey. Even in a women's conferences, I've been invited, and the man is leading the conference. The male are sitting on it's a women's conference. Why you are inviting male as a chief guest?
Right.
Look for a woman.
Yeah.
Look for a woman who can be invited as a chief guest.
Right.
And that is missing, and that creates a image or a perception among the women or the girls who are in that whole, that I cannot be there because I'm not a female. So I see there's a lot of cultural change required as well.
Yeah, cultural is the bottom line and the foundation. So coming to the last part, I want you guys to spend 30 seconds and give a message to the audience. These are all academic institutions, students, faculties, about Viksit Bharat 2047. What is your view? What is that next steps they have to take?
I would say that follow the global changes which are happening, the UN sustainability goals, which is already happening, and be yourself, do what you want to do, and to be the right, give the right advice. Don't give any advice.
I think the first thing for higher education institutions to understand is that they can contribute directly to Viksit Bharat and not play the indirect role of only creating trained manpower. So it's very important for students and faculty to understand that you have to think beyond your job, or as students wanting just a job, to becoming job creators. That mindset change has to come in, where from employee you would like to become an employer, and that you can contribute positively to many things. One is to reduce unemployment. Two, you could be a major source of empowerment of youth and empowerment of women. And third, you could contribute proactively to the GDP of the country. So I think with this in view, entrepreneurship is one of the parts that faculty and students must look at as something positive, as something they must not fear but want to tread on.
Talk about fundamental problems, basically come out with solutions. You don't want to start because there is a funding available or grant is available. I think about a big picture, why you want to start. There's a large market, larger impact or whatever, funding and other things other resources will come by. If you really want to contribute to basically, society, economy of a nation, please think about a fundamental problem. Learn to work in a collaboration and leverage the ecosystem that is basically, available to you in academia.
I think we need to have at least 10, 15 fundamentally deep tech companies that are coming out of India that were known for innovation. So we didn't copy China, we didn't copy US, we did what we do, and we're able to make like a significant, difference at the global stage. And sort of our perception should change a little bit from like being either followers or sort of service providers to innovators. I think if we can change that India is also associated with innovation and not just the politicians saying it, but actually others saying it outside the country, I think that would be fantastic to achieve.
So thank you to all the panelists for joining us for this podcast on Viksit Bharat Women in Entrepreneurship Ecosystem. We have heard different perspectives from the people over here, and I really congratulate all of them for the journeys they had and the immense contribution they have made in nation building in their own way. Be it academia, be it a private entity, be it a startup or an incubation center. I think we all of us are hand in hand to achieve this goal of Viksit Bharat 2047, as mentioned by Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. So I think the journey is upwards, looking at the support available to all sectors of the society, be it women, men, or anyone who wants to pursue problem solving. So the support and the ecosystem is there with you. With that notion, we'd like to sign off, and we look forward to your comments and suggestions. You can connect with them on LinkedIn and take your discussions, or you have any ideas to share with them directly with them. So thank you so much. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.